Here on the Immigrant Finance platform and podcast, we have our very special guest with us today that we're so excited to have sharing more on this topic. We have a Realtor Santiago Jaraba, broker associate Angela Morales, and Realtor Johncarlo Morales. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure for us.
We appreciate it. And you all are here from Keller Williams, based out in Connecticut. Is that right?
That's correct.
Wonderful.
We have been in the business for over 20 years in Connecticut.
It's amazing. And you work with a lot of people in the immigrant community, right?
That's how we specialize. Like I say, I'm the pioneer of the Morales top sellers team. And I have been, like I say, working over the 20 years. Pretty much, we started the revolution of the immigrant people, that didn't know, I guess, that they couldn't buy and getting out of the shadows. And now with all these banks believing in us, I'm going to say, trusting us that we are really hardworking people. With all these programs that we have, for the immigrant people, for people with tax ID numbers and people that has like permit to work. We have been working a lot with all these people, and we are really proud that we have been bringing family out of the shadows.
That's amazing and so important. I know a lot of people in our community, their number one financial goal is to buy a home, the whole American dream. So we have a lot of people who are excited to be here live. So if you are listening live, please in the comments do hashtag live so we know you're here and we can say hello. We're going to be taking questions at the end, but please type your questions in the chat, in the comments as we go. And I'll be able to convey them to our guests. And we're going to get started with Angela telling a little bit about her immigrant story.
Yeah. Came here in the United States in 1985. Was 19 years old. Just graduated in my country. I'm coming from Guatemala. With zero English, only I knew how to say hi and hello, pretty much hello, okay, not even hi. My brother told me how to say hi, so we used to say hello. 1985, came with my mother, very, like I say, zero English, no papers, we came by the border, very hard, but at the same time, nice experience with only one goal, right? Only one goal to have a better life. Came here, work hard, as everybody, okay, coming from Burger King, in a factory, then, I cleaning houses pretty much, 12 years of cleaning houses, have my son, Giancarlo. Giancarlo is my son, and I met somebody in the real estate business. I guess I always have that in my heart, that I say when I want to get married, the first thing that I want is to get my first house before getting my children, because I saw a lot of people living in the apartments, like 10 people living in one apartment, with all these kids and all that. And I say I did not want to have that life for my family. And that's how we save a lot, working 2 full-time jobs, to save some money, get our first home. And that's how I started. I said, wow, if I can do it, I know there is a lot of people who can do it. And I start telling to my friends, I say, please save money, you can do it. We need to get out of the apartments. We need to get our homes. I saw how the life change on you, right? Like when you have your own property, you don't, even if that's not matter the size, right? But the confidence that gets on you, and then knowing that you can do it. Then I met somebody who says, well, you don't become a real estate agent. I even didn't know what it was, right? So I said, what is that? So that's how I started saying, you can do it. You can start teaching people and helping a lot of our people. And that's how I start. I start getting my license, and with my, I'm going to say little English because for me, I do not speak a lot of English, but we starting doing it. okay, without knowing what we were going into. And I realized the need of our community, okay, somebody teaching them, how they can do it, right? How was not easy, right? But everybody can do it. Saving money. At that time, of course, I had papers, but all these programs for the tax ID people started, and I start educating the people. Now I have radio shows and all that, and a lot of people say, "Wow, we can do it." I start with my family, pushing them to buy a home with my friends, and now I have been helping through all the 20 years of my experience, helping a lot of families. And it's so amazing. I work with a lot of investors, but satisfaction that gets in my heart is most with the people of families, our families, right? That when I realize that this family with kids, they can have a better life, and how it had been changing to them, it gives me more satisfaction to me than nothing else. And that's how I am, thank God. I have been successful since I started. My son pretty much started when he was like, like 16 years old, pretty much showing apartments. And that's how I guess he got the passion of the real estate, and the need that there is there, with agents, because a lot of people do not know how much they can improve their lives, right? We don't need to be in the shadows. We don't need to be renting, we don't need to be uh, living I'm going to say miserable life, because in our country, I know we can have our own home and all that, but if we are here is to get a better life, right? We came here with
Absolutely.
a goal, okay, and our goal here is to be better. And if we see back what we have in our home right there back in our countries, and what we have now, how we choose to live our life, okay, everybody can do it. I know it's hard, but we can do it. We can do it, and we have to help each other. We have to educate ourselves, right, of what we can do. And with all these programs that we have, purchasing a home is really a blessed, and we have to take opportunity of what we have been offered.
I love it. So inspiring. And you've clearly helped so many people. It's amazing. So thank you for everything you've done to help this community already. Um,
I think she pretty much said it all, and yes, I am the prodigal son, I'm the son. Here I am. I had my experience in taking what she's built, seeing it, built from the floor. The trainings that she went through, knocking on doors, physically to break down those barriers. And then here I am, trying to bring a formal education to it as well. Being a graduate from UConn, I did property management for a few years in Houston. Came back to kind of take what Angela built and share this opportunity with not only clients but also people who want to be agents and appraisers and inspectors. One of the best things we did was meet Santiago, who has been an amazing addition to the team. And we're going to continue to do so and continue to grow and expand and share our resources with everybody.
Amazing. Santiago, did you want to share a little bit about your immigrant story?
Yeah, I also came here from another country. I'm originally from Colombia. Came here when I was a little younger, and I did high school here. Then graduated from high school. Then I went to college. Graduated from college here at the University of Bridgeport, and then I did some office job. Did a little bit of mortgage and insurance, and then after that, I decided to get the real estate license. Then I joined Keller Williams, and I joined this wonderful team where I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot throughout these months, and we have helped so many families. And this is the beauty of this job. It's more than just selling houses. It's about helping. Uh, well, basically, I would say that 90% of our clients are immigrants, right? So it's not just about selling a house. It's also helping them get their one of the dreams. Owning a house is a dream. Everybody wants to own a house, especially as an immigrant. You want to buy your own house because we usually come from poor countries, right? So owning a property is something big for anybody, right? So any transaction we treat it as something that is very important, and we always try to treat everybody equally and fair. We treat everybody equally, even if it's just $100,000 house or $500,000 house, right? Because our purpose is to provide good customer service, and that's what we want. We want people to feel comfortable with us. So I as an immigrant, I take it to heart too, because I understand what it is to come to this country, learn the language, right, study, and move on with your life. So we all share similar stories, and I'm proud to also represent my country. We are also hardworking people, and we know that we're here for good things. So that's a little bit of my story. I came here with my family. Um, we came here with a little bit, not much, but thank God we have real luck. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story too, and what this work means to you. I'm going to turn it over to y'all now to jump into the presentation today and teach us all about how to buy a home as an immigrant.
We have two comments. Sandra is my mom. She's saying "admiro That's my mom. Can you see the comments?
Oh.
Yeah, that's and then we have Carol. Great information, great job, everybody, everyone. Yeah.
Such good vibes already.
We have
Yes.
good admirers. And that's what it is, a good support in the family. My mother support me a lot, with my kids when they were growing. Giancarlo was maybe like 10 years old, when I started the real estate business. It was tough, it was tough now because of working, being a work mom, having my kids, and we have a lot of support. And I'm sure Santiago has a lot of support from the parents, a lot of blessings, which help a lot. My mother was always blessing us and help, so I guess we did it. We realized, we did our dream, the dream, the USA dream. So we're here, and I'm so glad that Giancarlo came here to help us in doing a good team. So we are the Morales
Exactly.
team, which we're very, very proud.
Exactly.
And I would say, like, Santiago, he's very humble. I don't think I like when he speaks about his experience and going to college too. I think we had a very similar experience. I feel like we at least I could say for sure, I felt like I was bringing a lot of the immigrant dreams on my back. Even though I was born here, there was everything about los raíces de uno, our roots, our people. So when I went to get my college education and when I decided to continue to work in real estate, taking what my mom has built, there was a lot of pride. There was a lot of effort, and I love what I do. And I think no matter what happens, I remember everybody made a sacrifice when Angela first started real estate. I got picked up maybe like an hour late from school every day because she was out showing houses, and I understand, just what it was. Of course, as a kid, you think, why am I getting picked up late? But now that, we're here 8:30 at night, trying to educate people, and I haven't even had my dinner yet, like, you see the sacrifice it takes. Not what's worth it. It's not easy, but just like being an agent, you can buy a home, and we can get educated, and we can do it all. We have the resources available, and I hope during this presentation that you get to see and learn a little bit about the steps buying a home.
And if I could just add, hearing you all talk, it's making me think about how important it is to find an agent that is supportive and is going to walk through the process and really cares, like this team here. I'm thinking about my best friend who's a child of immigrants. Her mom is from Lebanon and also started real estate practice, and they work together and they help change people's lives all the time. And I always tell her, you're doing therapy because it's one of the scariest things you can do is buying a house.
That's funny. Angela says it all the time. We're also psychologists, we're
Yeah.
accountants, we're attorneys. We're not just your agent. We become your best friend throughout the
Yeah.
transaction. Your
Yeah,
confidant,
sure.
all the above.
Yeah.
We're teachers, with plumbers, we're carpenters. We help, we do it all pretty much.
So lesson number 1, find a good agent who's going to support you through the process. You don't have to know everything by yourself.
And who
Yes.
understands what you want, who understands where you come from. It's really important to connect with people.
Absolutely. Great. Well, do you want to go ahead and share your screen, Giancarlo, and
Yep,
we can
I'm
jump
ready.
in?
I think it's
Okay.
still sharing there.
Let's see.
All right. So at the end of the slideshow, we'll have contact information. It's a lot of information. So definitely take down any questions that you may have for the end. And of course, just because this presentation ends today doesn't mean that you can't call us tomorrow, and we can certainly sit down and talk in more detail about the process. And if Angela or Santiago want to jump in at any time, of course, feel free to jump in.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by saying, of course, I would say the MVP, of the transaction is the agent, but there are other people that are going to be on your team. And this is just a list of some of the people that we may see and deal with when we're doing a house purchase. So in Connecticut, we use an attorney to close transactions. In other states, you may use a title closing company, but they essentially do the same job, which is making sure that the closing transaction and paperwork are correct, and then recording it with the state. Um, Outside of that, there is a company that takes care of your title, and this is the title company. They will insure it to make sure that the property is free of any other liens and claims. Liens and claims are, let's say, a mortgage where you owe money because you purchased the house, or it could be a construction lien where somebody did some work to the home and you took out a mortgage on the house, or a line of credit on the house. So they can come in many different forms, but what they do is make sure that you own the house 100% and can enjoy it. The lender, of course, is the person who's going to give you the loan, the person that assesses your financial status and then gives you an amount of money or a value amount that you can go out and purchase the home. They'll usually say, because of your income and your savings, we can qualify you up to a $200,000 house, for example. The CPA, and not everybody needs or has a CPA, but this person assists you with tax preparation. A conversation that definitely goes a little longer. Being prepared to buy a home, if you're thinking about it next year, we would always tell you get qualified today, assess your taxes today, because you want to know where you need to be at a year from now. So a CPA can help you prepare. An insurance agent, of course, just like your car insurance, will help you get insurance coverage for your home. And then we have an appraiser. This is sent out during the transaction from the bank, and it gives us a certain value of the home. So they look at other homes that have sold in the area, they determine the highest and best use of the home, and then they'll give you a value based on the current market. If they value the home, what we see a lot right now is they value the home a little less than what you're buying it. Well, then they'll have to make some adjustments. So we can talk about that as well a little bit later as it gets complicated in today's market. We're going to deal with the other side. Sometimes there is no agent. We have been known to do some for sale by owner homes, but more likely there will be another agent on the other side negotiating on behalf of the seller. And then the last thing that we may need is a maintenance person or a contractor, repair contractor, in case there are any issues that arise during the purchase of the home. So this may not be everybody we see during a transaction, but it's pretty much the more main characters that we'll see. A little bit about the process here. We start with the pre-approval. and the house hunting. The pre-approval is a document given by the lender that allows us to know up to how high we can purchase a home, up to what price. Then
And
we enter the offer. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry. And this is what I'm going to say. This is the best part for, especially for our community, the approval letters, right? Like where we're having a little difficulties because that's where our community do not understand how important it is to do our taxes. Even if you are not resident, you have only a tax ID, how important it is to do your own taxes, to do your taxes, to save in the bank, okay? Not under the couch, but to have our money in the bank and to save money. So this is a part where it's very important that we really have to understand and educate ourselves.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Just like I pretty much mentioned, it's even if you're not ready today, this is a free step that gives you information so that you know where you need to be when you're ready to buy a home. Like Angela said, a lot of us immigrants, we make money cash and under the table. Well, we have to report that if we want to show on paper that we can afford the home. And it's something that's free, and it's something that I agree with Angela is the most important step, getting educated on the pre-approval process. After the pre-approval, we go house hunting and we find a house that you like. We enter the offers and negotiation where in a not so heavy market like today, sometimes we had a better chance of negotiating, but in this business, everything is negotiable. So we do our best always to get the best price. And well, at the end of the day, the buyer and the seller have to meet together and agree on the price. We go through the inspection as the buyer. During this period, we usually have here in Connecticut, we do a customary 10 days to inspect the house and do any due diligence on the property. So this can cost somewhere between the neighborhood of $500 to $600. If it's a multifamily home, it'll be more in the upper range. It could even go up to 800. So to give you a ballpark,
It depends on
what
the
this
square footage. It depends
it's
on the
based on
square
the square
footage of the property.
footage.
Yeah.
Yep. The size. Yep. And of course, different inspectors give different services. So, we, for example, give you a list so you can see the services that they provide. This is the time. This is the point of this is the time to check everything. We check the furnaces. We try and check everything as far as the plumbing. What you can see, what you can touch is definitely the things that we go through with a fine comb. And then if we have things like a septic tank or a well, we can't really see it, with our eyes or with a general inspector, then we hire a specific inspector that can do well inspections, septic inspections, and the like. So there are different kinds of inspectors. There's also pest inspectors for termites. So this is our period of time to hire anybody we need to come in and make sure that the property is free of any problems. Past that time, if there's no issues, or if there are, and we come to an agreement between the seller and the buyer, whether it's money for credit or repairs, we get to the appraisal stage. This is where we tell the bank, okay, we have inspected the house. We're good to move forward. Please send the appraiser to assess the value. The appraiser does a walkthrough, but it's much less than the inspection. It's a quick 15-30 minute walkthrough just to ensure that what's on paper meets what's in real life. And then they do most of their job behind the computer, where they're looking at what else has sold in the area. We call these comparable homes. He comes up with the value based on what has sold. And if the value matches or is greater than our purchase price, then he authorizes the bank to approve the loan for the value of the home. So the appraiser is going to come out quickly and give you a value for the home for the bank. At the same time, the title company is doing their research to make sure that nobody else has a claim to the title of the home. So we just ran into an issue this week where an old sale was not recorded properly. So the title is going to have to come back now because of the title insurance and clear up the issue between the previous seller and the new buyer. So that's going on at the same time to make sure that the title is clear for the new buyer to possess. The title, another word could be like the deed or the ownership. At the end, when we have the appraisal clear, the title clear, our inspection is good, all repairs have been made, we do one more walkthrough just to make sure nothing has changed. We review the closing documents that have your loan amount, how much you're paying in taxes, insurance, what your monthly payments look like, and anything that has to do with the property with credits, anything that's financed with the property. And finally, we reach our closing date where you sit down with the attorney or the title company. I'm sorry, not the title company, the closing company here in Connecticut, the attorney. And then you close by signing on the documents. And depends on how you look on it. You either become richer or poorer. But the debt, in this case, is good. So I would say you become.
It's the only good. I heard that it's the only good debt.
It's good debt.
Good debt is real estate.
They say on average, the homeowner is worth $250,000 more than the renter in net worth. So just a quick little tidbit there.
And you have to remember that buying a house is not a debt. Okay, when you buy a car, it's a debt. When you use your credit card, it's a debt. When you buy a house, it's an equity, because in the long run, what you're doing is you're saving your own money. You become your own bank, because when you are paying the rent, you're just throwing your money in the garbage. When you are buying a home, even if it looks like it's a debt, what you're doing is saving that money every month. Like in 10 years, 15 years, that's how much you have been saving, right? So it's your own money, being your own bank, pretty much. So don't look at the home that everybody says, oh, I'm afraid. And I say, I'm afraid of what? You have to pay rent. You have to have a ceiling. So why not buying a home and being your own bank?
Yeah. And just like she said, it's a good point. I always explain it like this. When you swipe your credit card, you gave $10. That's what you owe. When you sign for a mortgage, the bank gave you the money that you needed to purchase the home. You instantly became, $200,000 richer. It's simply you have to pay it back. So in the transaction of a mortgage, you kind of gain the money that you used to buy the house. But of course, when you swipe a credit card, that's money that you owe. So I like to think of it like that. Now, this presentation was geared towards a little bit of more time, so I'm going to try and breeze through it, but these next few slides get a little detailed. But again, save your questions. We can talk at the end, and of course, we can go over it in more time at a later date. So during the pre-approval process, this is where we really ask you to be honest and disclose any financial situations that are current or can come up in the future during buying the home. This is the most important part because we need to know the whole story in order to make sure that we're going to get to the end of this home purchase.
And this is when your immigration status is important too. We need to know.
Yes.
So we know exactly what programs we can help you with.
Correct. If it's a work visa or if it's whatever status it is, if it's just tax ID,
permit, DACA, depending on your program or whatever you have, that's how we can help you. So we need transparency because eventually we're gonna know, right? So
everything comes out. Yes, like
eventually
when the lender does credit checks, when the lender does background checks, all this comes out. So if you can't trust your lender or your agent, who can you trust in this process? We're the only people that will keep it confidentiality with you,
exactly.
And we're going to look for your best interest. So yes, status, what you plan to do, if you plan on buying a house, forget about buying a new car, forget about buying anything expensive or furniture, forget about
applying for credit cards too.
Don't apply for new credit cards because yes, absolutely could change everything. So
no new
phones. Don't be late on the payments either if you have a card already, because we had an issue with one transaction that was late with a car payment and that affected everything. So it's important to be always on time with everything that you have. Don't be behind. Don't be behind.
And this is information that the lender can help you with. So if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where your credit score is, the lender will do this for you and put you on a good track. So if you think that, maybe you've had some late payments in the past, but you want to know what your status is, the lender will give you the information to let you know where you need to be. Just really quick, one of the biggest things that I've seen our lenders do is, because we make a lot in cash, they'll tell you how to deposit the money to start reporting it. And I think that's one of the most valuable things that the lender can start doing for you. Moving on to the next step. During the offers and negotiation, we have to be ready in this market. It's a very busy market, and it's very normal to get multiple offers for one property. So what does that mean? It means you and probably 3 other people are trying to buy the same property because there has not been enough inventory on the market. So this is where you really have to trust your agent with their advice. I myself just paid $30,000 over asking price for a property, just to prove that the point is, even the agents, we're spending over asking price because that is the market today. If you want to buy a house, you have to be aggressive and you have to trust what the agent would say if you love it. We would
And
normally say,
depending on the area too, you could get up to 10 offers for the same property. We have run into those situations that not even offering 30,000 above asking price is enough.
Yep, correct. And it gets heartbreaking, but you have to continue. Right now, it's not strange to have 8 offers before your 9th or your 10th one gets accepted. So
Correct.
of course, for us, we do our best to coach you. We say, if you love it, this is kind of where we think you should be at. We can't really, we wish we could say, this is the number that you need to be at to win it, but we always trust our instinct and our experience and market data to advise you in the best offer and negotiation. And sometimes it's about getting it under contract and then negotiating it later. So there's a lot of strategies that we use to try and find the best value. But of course, the goal is to get you in the door. During the inspection, like I mentioned, we can have different kinds of inspectors, some that are specific and some that are general. The general inspector is the one that we always use. And be careful with the prices, because the cheapest inspector is not always the best. Sometimes there's inspections reports that we get that are, I haven't seen it in a while, but that are handwritten. And I'm sorry, but we're in 2021. If I don't have pictures and I don't have a searchable report,
the other
it makes
day,
my job harder.
the other day, I saw the very first inspector so far that doesn't do a report. He was doing just an email. This is what I saw. This is what needs to be fixed. And I was like, aren't you gonna be doing a report? And he was like, no. And then that comes to prove Giancarlo's point that it's not everybody
So
is
I
willing
guess
to
like
go
In
the
my
effort.
time, when I started, then that was a good thing. It's only handwritten, and it used to take a long time because they were writing. But now, like he says, everything has been changing, and it has been helping us a lot, especially with the pictures and all the technology.
Exactly. So usually you will get a report with pictures and the recommendations of what needs to be fixed and what it is important, what must be fixed, right? Now, another point that I want to talk about is not everything that is mentioned on the inspection needs to be done. It really depends on the seller and how the deal is going. We have seen that most of the properties are being sold as is. And if you're not willing to take the property as is, the sellers are willing to just move on to the next offer. It happened to me with one transaction.
And sometimes it's only suggestions too, something that you just need
Sometimes
to
it's
know, but you don't
suggestions,
have to
but
pay.
as a first time, when you are a first time home buyer or when you don't know about the process, you get scared because you see, okay, this house needs a lot of work. But honestly, every house needs a lot of work. We are buying used houses, and especially in this part of the country, houses are very old. So if you're gonna buy a house, you need to know that Home Depot is gonna be your new supermarket. That's what I said to my clients. Home Depot is your new supermarket, but right. But you just need to be aware of it. And if you can negotiate, like I said, it depends on every deal. Every deal is different. Sometimes we have room to negotiate inspection. Sometimes we don't. It really depends on the deal. But the
Right.
inspection is
And we're
only for
coaching
your
you
knowledge.
and we're coaching you the whole way. We're giving you our advice and our experience. I think that one of the biggest things here is, like Santiago said, is don't get afraid. You don't find the perfect home, you make the perfect home. You just try and find it as close as you can. When yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the way it is. Outside of that, it has to be a big gut feeling, but what this portion is to make sure the big items are working. The furnace, the roof, all these big items, especially if you have a first time buyer program, they're going to require that everything be working. That there not be any danger of chipping paint, like lead paint. So it gets very
Exactly.
specific sometimes. So we always coach you along the way on what's important and what can be done along the way. And again, there are specific inspectors too, like foundation, septic, well water, land surveyors. So it gets pretty specific, but we always try and save you money as you do your inspections. But this is the time where it's worth to pay. If you have any doubt, this is the time to check it out as finely as possible. Appraisal and title, I'm not going to talk too much about because it's something that we don't really have too much control over. The title search and the title insurance is pretty straightforward. It's not it's rare to find an issue, but it does happen from time to time. Usually, it just takes an extra amount of time, 1 to 2 months, for things to get sorted out. I don't know if Angela can speak on this, but I don't think I've ever run into an issue where a title wasn't figured out.
No, it's a very like there is issues with links and all that, but it always get resolved. And there's sometimes it takes a little time to clear titles, when there is links in the property, especially old links. But over here, the attorneys are very diligent and they always get resolved.
Yeah, so one example that we can give you is like there was a seller who borrowed money from an ex-wife at the time, a wife at the time, to purchase a property, and this was maybe like 15, 20 years ago. Well, at the time of sale, guess what came up when the title search happened? The ex-wife, I guess, when they broke up, put a lien on the property for that money. So this is when we say, be clear to your agent about what happened in the past, what might come up. These are the things that, well, this happened. It might be an issue. Is better to say than not say anything, and then it comes up later. So with title, like I said, it's a little out of our control, but usually it's not an issue. What sometimes we do run into an issue with is appraisal, and this is also something that's a little out of our control. Agents, we give you an idea of the value of a home based on a comparative market analysis. This is called a CMA. We do our best to compare the properties in the area and give you a value. However, it's the appraisal. They have a license to give the value. So this is a different license that they go to school for, that they train for, be an apprentice, and then eventually practice. And they are the people that, to the dollar, give you the value of the home. So where we
And
give you
adding
only
to
an
that,
estimate, they give you the exact number.
they
Go ahead.
also need a bachelor's degree. They also need a
Yep.
bachelor's degree too.
Yep.
So it's not just somebody who's, and this is another thing that we hear often, that people trust Zillow, right? They say, oh, but in Zillow says that this house is worth this much, right? Well, Zillow most of the time is not accurate. That's why that's why the bank hires an appraiser. An appraisal goes to college and then has to go to the appraisal school and do all these hours to get the license. So this is the person that the bank is trusting on, basically on giving the loan to our client, right? So it is important to understand that those things are, we cannot control, and are being handled by professional people too, who are experts in the field as well.
Yes, that's a amazing point, because we would love to adjust this value. We've been in the industry for over 20 years, and I don't think we have ever successfully gotten a change to the appraisal value, just to put it like that. And we do about 200 transactions a year. Um, it they are the word of God at the end of the day. If we have a difference in the value, then it's going to be between the buyer and the seller to come together on that value. If the loan is not approved for the amount, it doesn't mean it's the end of the transaction. The buyer can still come up with the difference in cash as long as the seller is willing to accept it. So we always look to negotiate at this time. And again, we'll talk about this, in more detail if anybody has more questions. But just understand that the value of the home comes from the appraisal, and there's really not a lot that we can do to control it once it comes in. Once it comes in, we have to work with the value that's given to us, a good 90%. Reaching the end here, if we get our title and appraisal approved and everything, we'll be happy to do one more walkthrough with you where we check it within 24 hours of signing on the closing. This is where we go through, make sure everything was just the way that they promised. If we had any repairs that we needed or any changes that needed to be done, that they were completed. And this is our last opportunity to check the numbers to make sure everything was accurate, that was given to us as a form of a credit or charged from us, like insurance or taxes. Usually you go over this document. It's called a HUD-1 or a closing disclosure form. You usually go over this with your lender. They are the ones that's going to break down every single fee that you would pay for in your monthly payment. This is could be, like I said before, your insurance, taxes, at the closing, who's paying agent fees, what you're doing with if you didn't pay your appraisal at the time. So all the little dollars and cents. And here's a little free information for you. In Connecticut, it's customary for buyer agents to work for free for the buyer. So we're actually paid by the seller. So if you were wondering how much we cost, we're actually a free service to you as a buyer's agent. The closing is usually conducted with the attorney. It can take up to an hour, and that's where you'll sign all the mortgage paperwork, and it will be recorded with the other attorney later that day. The most we see it take time is 24 hours, but you'll usually have keys at the end of that day. Post-closing, we have to make sure you turn on all your utilities, make sure your insurance companies are active, and every year shop around. It's just like a car insurance, try and get a good rate. And consider paying a little bit extra, more than the payment a month, to bring down your principal amount so that you pay less interest over time. And of course, always keep up with your home maintenance, clean your gutters, mow your lawn, even the really annoying part in the back. Take care of the home, inspect the home, because one day, when you come to sell it, that's going to be money back to you. This is what a listing looks like. So just to give you an example, this is a listing that we had in Hamden, Connecticut. The price was $265. You'll see in the top right. Right next to the picture, to the right of the picture, you'll see the property tax. Those are kind of the important information. If you look to the right of that, it says the assessed value is 116. Well, how could it be 116 if we're selling it for 265,000? Well, like Santiago mentioned before, like Zillow, the tax assessed value is not going to be accurate to the actual value of the home. In fact, they do it lower on purpose so that you don't feel like you're paying too much taxes for your home. It's usually not that caught up. So on this paper, you'll also find what kind of utilities they are, like gas, electric. Is it public water? Is it public sewer? Or do I have a septic tank and a well? So this is what a page would look like. This is what we send you as an agent so that you can learn about the home. And online, of course, you usually be able to click into it and get a lot more pictures as well. This is what a contract looks like. Just some information in the top lines is who's involved, who's the buyer, who's the sellers, where do they live, what's the name of the property, what's the address. The important information here is kind of line item 5, where I filled in an example. we can talk about this in more detail too, but what I would like for you to take away here is when we enter a contract, we put a money amount that is called an earnest money deposit. So in this case, it's the $1,000 here on the top. This is the money that a buyer puts down that says, I will continue to purchase the home, and if I back out outside of my inspection and my financing, um, if I back out without notice, you will keep the $1,000. So it's a little difficult to understand at first, but essentially you're promising that you're going to go through the contract for a certain amount of money. Now, this is usually part of your down payment. So your earnest money and your down payment are a part of each other usually. And with your down payment, as you've seen with first time buyers, sometimes they put as low as 3%. So altogether here, we'll see how much money is out of your pocket and how much money the bank gives. And then that together will be the total purchase price of the offer of the home. So we do a whole class to contracts. So of course, grab our information and we go through the whole contract so you understand, what can be done and how to put an offer. And this is what a property disclosure will look like. So usually with every sale, you'll see a 12-page report that has information about the history of the home according to the seller. So this is where they disclose if there's been any problems in the past, any insurance claims. They disclose the kind of utilities they are again. They give you more information about the history, the age of the roof, and anything else that has happened to the home while they have owned it. Now, how are we doing on time, by the way? Are we okay?
You're okay. Thank you. Doing great.
Okay, I'm gonna only like 2 more left, and again, Santiago and Angela, if you have anything to put in here, we'll feel free to speak
Yeah,
up.
before you continue, like especially over here in Connecticut, we work with contracts, legally contracts, the contracts that we use. And also we do exclusive right to represent. So if you are working with an agent, you cannot be working with 2 agents at the same time because we work exclusively. And like I said, with legal contracts as well, like in other uh, states, they work with writers, that the attorney does the contract, but over here we go strictly to contracts. And that's the only thing to explain.
Yeah, I think those are important to say. Yeah, when you're working with a realtor, so we typically like to get to know you first. So we'll have a meeting, we'll talk, and if you feel like we're a good fit, we're going to ask you to sign a right to represent, and this is required by the state. They ask us to make sure to make sure that we have something in writing that says we're representing you as we enter this home, as we offer for the home, negotiate the home. So like Angela said, contracts are very, very important, and we'll explain all about them in detail when you come for a buyer consultation. So the market today, as many of you hear, is busy. The pandemic really made a lot of people move, and there's a lot of low inventory because families are living longer. Children are making money. People are graduating. People are getting more educated. There's a big young generation of buyers. The cost of building has gone up. So you hear that wood has gone up. Everyone talking about all the cost of building has been going up the last year, and we have high rents because of all of this. So it's a really busy market. Definitely something that would help is having an experienced agent that has seen it. Angela had the experience from 07, 08 when the market crashed at its worst. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of remodifications for people who are underwater. So just because the market is busy doesn't mean that there's something bad that's going to happen around the corner. And even if it does, there are ways to look for help, and there are ways to not be in a burden. In order to be successful in this market, definitely interview who you work with. As much as we would love to represent you here in Connecticut, we can't represent you all over the world or the country, and we totally respect that you won't be able to use us. So our best advice would be to ask your realtor, ask them how many sales they do, ask them how long they've been in the business, ask them about their office and their brokership. What are their strategies? Are they investors themselves? These are all important questions to ask to get to know your agent. Feeling comfortable and having an agent that has a lot of experience will be one of the most important things you do. And this isn't on the slide, but one thing I'll mention really quick is also choosing local lenders. So you have a big corporation like the Bank of America, who it's all across the nation, and they can give you a loan, but they'll most likely treat you like a number. Instead, we have local lenders who have their own mortgage companies that know the area, know the agents, and know the process. More importantly, sometimes when you have these national brands, they don't know the specific process of every state. So having a local lender, asking them similar questions and trusting them is also the key to success. Act quickly and decisively. Sometimes we have houses going under deposit in 24 hours. So that's why we stay up late talking to you to put in the offer at 10 o'clock at night, because we know timing is everything. So again, this is one of those questions to ask your agents. If I have an offer to put at 10 o'clock at night, will you be there to help me? Be prepared to offer over asking in the multiple bid situations. When a house is worth asking $100,000 on the market today, most likely it will be going over that price. So be ready to be aggressive and trust your agent when they say, if you really like this home, we should be at least this much over the asking price from what we have seen sell in the past few months. So we always go off of data, but also it's a gut instinct as well. And lastly, make your contract terms as simple as possible for the seller. So Santiago mentioned this earlier. A lot of the homes are going for as is. So if you have a contract that is asking them to repaint, to fix things, to change things, most likely will lose the bid to somebody who is not asking for those things. Also, putting more down payment makes your offer stronger as well. So if you have more money to put down, and we would coach you along with the lender, we would try and find the best way to make your offer strong with more money, so that the seller feels secure that you can go through to the end of the loan. And then finally, sometimes they need something specific. Sometimes sellers are also buying their home and they need more time to move. So if you can be flexible with the dates for the seller, that also helps make your offer stronger. Well, that's it. I'm glad I got
I want to
through
add
it. I
something
hope I
to
didn't take too much time. Yep.
I
It's
want
a
to add
lot.
something to
Go
what
ahead.
Carlos said when he was talking about people who were in other areas. If you don't know a realtor, and even if you live in another state, we can also help you connect you with an agent who is member of the Keller Williams family. So you
Yeah.
could be in California, and we are here in Connecticut, and you don't know a realtor in California. We can help you find a realtor for you, a realtor that we think might be a good fit for you. We have a really good system at Keller Williams where we're able to connect with people from not just around the country but also from other countries. We have had clients from other states, from other countries, and we have been able to find them good realtors. So even if you're in another state and you don't know, you want to buy a house and you don't know anybody, you can still contact us and we will connect you with somebody near you.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal point. That's something that we're proud of, our national brand. We are the Morales Top Sellers team, but we're part of a much bigger brand, Keller Williams, that is all across the world, not just the nation. So they help us do our best, so we can serve you better. And we would love to connect you to people all across the world who have the same values that we do.
That's really good to know. I was going to say, can people work with you if they don't live in Connecticut? But that's good. You can connect them.
But we can connect because
Yeah.
even if you're in another state or in another country, you can still contact us. We can still help you with the process of
We do
explain
a lot of
how it
referrals.
works.
A lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
referrals.
I think Santiago currently has a listing with a fellow agent of in Keller Williams in Colombia, right?
In Colombia and another one in Mexico.
Mexico.
Yep.
So
And yeah, and we
they
have
have this in
in New
Mexico
York,
and
Los
Colombia.
Angeles.
Yeah, but also
We,
within the country, we can, if you want to buy a house in Puerto Rico, we can help you with that, finding somebody, Florida, Texas, California, anywhere in the country.
so I don't know if there is any questions. I think I see a
Yep.
question over here that it says that do we need to get pre-approval from a bank or mortgage lender prior to reaching out the real estate? I really, I'm going to say reach a realtor first, just because the realtor will know more people, more lenders, that is going to fit your needs. So I always recommend to go to a realtor first, because a lot of people tends to go to these big companies, which is, there is nothing wrong, but they go to Chase and then they get denied. They go to Bank of America, they get denied, and then they get disappointed. But because these old big banks, they do not know your needs. So when you go to an agent first, they know your needs, okay? They know where you're coming from. If you have a tax ID, so then we have lenders that they do tax ID. If you have only permit to work, we have lenders, who's going to need it if you make only cash. So now, not these big companies, big banks do all these programs. So as we have all the connections, and we know with to go with, with a special lender, we have a relationship as well. It's not like a lot of some buyers come with their own pre-approvals, and there is bank that we do not know. We don't know how they work, okay? And there is not a relationship between the agent and the mortgage brokers. And sometimes these mortgage brokers, they don't have experience, working with especially our immigrant people, and they become in default. And these buyers, they start spending money with the inspection, with the appraisal, and at the end they cannot buy. And it's because they have not been pre-approved the right way. So I always say go to an agent first. That way, they will know where to guide you, where to send you when there is a relationship. Everybody's a team, like between the attorneys, the mortgage lenders, the inspectors. We are a team, and we always want the best for you. Just really
Yeah, I
quick.
would say. Oh,
Mhm. And that not really quick with the loans. We have a lot of programs for tax IDs with 10%, 20% down, and there is 115% down. So we have a lot of programs for the people. Don't be shy. Ask questions. There is a lot of programs, from the federal programs. We have the FHA, the programs from the government, from the people who has paper, who has a permit to work, residents or citizens. We have the programs from the state as well, which is federal. In the state, we have the CHAFA, 100% financing as well. And we have the conventional loans, which are the easiest ones, but they're a little more hard to get, but they're there. So ask questions, come out, so you can do it, and people are thinking, I'm saving money, I'm not ready yet, maybe in 3 years. Why wait 3 years, right? Why not ask now? You exactly do not need too much money to buy. Okay, there is a lot of programs for you guys, a lot of programs there where you don't need a lot of money to purchase a home. Okay, don't be afraid to ask.
okay. I see two questions really quick to the right. And one thing to just to finish, Angela, you can get qualified by multiple lenders. So you don't have to go or take the first offer. You can shop around.
Right.
I see the first one question here. Do foreign national Canadian here? How you doing? Get a mortgage with a working visa. Um,
Yep.
I'll have to get on with you with the specifics, but the short answer is yes. You
Yes.
absolutely
Yep.
can.
Yep. Yeah. I was just talking to a mortgage broker today, and they were telling me that there is program even for people with visa, even with a tourist visa. Okay, so working visa.
Oh,
As
okay.
soon as you're doing your income taxes, okay, you remember taxes are very important. You have to be doing your income taxes, even here or even in another country. If you will have all the papers together, yes, you can buy. You can definitely you can buy a appropriate
Another
visa.
question here, just on time. Somebody from Connecticut. How you doing? Um, Very happy for you. I see that you were possibly a co-signer, and then they refinanced out. So your question was, does that mean you're technically not a first-time home buyer? And if so, does that mean I have to wait 3 years to be considered to be a first-time home buyer? The long story short of that one is no. If you currently don't have a loan in your name, you'll be able to do an FHA loan pretty easily, which is the 3.5% down first-time home buyer program.
And
So
we call
we use that program.
first time home buyer, but actually it's the resident home. Okay, it does not matter if it's your first time home. Okay, as soon as it's going to be your resident home, and if you do not have another like FHA, that's the more common ones that we use. You know, like
That's right.
90% of our mortgages are FHA. So it does not have to be your first time home. Okay, we just call the residence home. That's very important. So as soon as you do not have a one loan, you can change it to one and still use the same programs.
Yep. And then you had a second kind of backup
That's
question
yeah.
there. How much is a large amount of a credit card? Santiago, why don't you take this one?
Well, it depends on your limit, but people I hear that they advise you to not spend more than 25% of your limit. So if your limit is, for instance, $1,000, don't spend more than $250. If you do that, your credit score will improve. So that's the advice that we can give you. Don't use more than 25% of your limit. So you and pay it off if you can. What I always advise people is just to use your credit card up to the 25%. Then after 2 weeks, just pay it off. Don't just let it be. Just pay it off if you can. So that way you can improve your credit score. The better a score that you have, the better interest rate that you're gonna have, right? So it is very important. That's a very important question because sometimes when we get a credit card, a $2,000 credit card, we think that we can spend it all, but that's gonna hurt our credit. That's gonna hurt our credit. So the most you could do is 25 to 30% of the limit.
And
That's
even if you're paying it off, you think, okay, I paid it off in the same month, and that's a good thing. But you'd be surprised to find out that could be negative too. So people that we have in our circle that we can refer to you as well outside of the lenders are credit repair programs. People that specifically work with you to credit repair. So that's also a great resource that we have.
yeah, yeah.
If you have questions about how much credit you have and how much you can use.
Exactly. So that's a very important question. And like we were talking about previously, when you are doing the process of buying a house, do not apply for credit cards. Do not get a car. Do not get a loan because that could hurt the process and that could affect your debt to income ratio. So
Yeah.
that's very
If a
important.
little voice in the back of your head goes, is this a good idea? Call your agent first.
Yeah. Yeah, if you see like a new car and you're like, oh, I want that new car. No, you don't need it. Just wait
Just hold
after
on.
Wait.
closing, because it's probably you're gonna get approved for that car even if you buy a house because you're more likely to get a car quick. It's really easy to get a car. So just wait until you close the loan and then go buy yourself a new car after closing.
Just buying a new phone. When they run the credit for to buy a new phone, it really can damage your credit as well. It
Well,
can
that's
lower your credit,
yeah,
by buying a new phone. So wait until
yeah.
everything is done with your house, until actually you close, then you can do whatever you want. But I have people who are in the transaction, the middle of the transaction, they start shopping for furniture, and they have been running
Mhm.
their credit because they're shopping around for furniture. And at the table, they have not been able to buy just because they were just shopping around for furniture.
And
Okay, so let's just wait.
before we move on to the next question, I think it's also important to mention the difference between a soft uh, credit score check and is a hard credit
Mhm.
score check, which like in housing when you are buying a house or renting is usually like a soft check. But when you're buying a car, applying for credit cards, or buying a phone, that one is a hard check. So it's gonna affect your credit score more if you apply for this type of things like car, credit cards, and phones. When it's for a
Mhm.
house, it is not supposed to go down by a lot. So that's the difference between the two of them. And we have another question.
Yep. Dear, can commercial spaces like a 10-car garage be a good investment? Well, I like this question because it's bringing us outside the box here. We've
Yeah.
been talking a lot about residential, but you can also buy commercial. We have these things called mixed-use properties where maybe the first floor is commercial, the second floor and third floor is residence. Well, this is called house hacking. You live in one floor and you rent out the other two. In the case of a exactly 10-car garage and no residential, that would be a fully commercial loan. So that's a lot different than a regular residential loan. But I
And
like
it's
where that
depending for
thought
what
process.
you It depends for what you want it to use for, right? Like a 10-car garage, it could be a good investment if it's depending what the use is going to be. Okay, so not only 10-car garage, if you're just going to rent it to park a garage, like car, right? So if you're going to rent it for $100, not. But if you are really going to make a good business, like for um auto body or whatever, it will be a good investment. But it is just about the price and what the use is going to be for.
And
And
I
I
think
would
the
say
location
that.
too. The location too, because imagine if you buy a 10-car garage in New York City. You could
Exactly.
rent
So
it.
So
it
there's this
depending on the
thing.
use, where the location is, the price, of course,
Yeah.
and I always say that real estate is always good. No matter what is going to be, a real estate is always good.
So one thing about our team is we are all investors ourselves, whether we have 10 properties, one, or we're aspiring to get it next year. We all focus on educating that investment line so deeply because a lot of Latinos have grown to be investors and own their own properties. We are the most growing segment. Santiago and Angela and myself were part of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, NAREP, where we see the statistics that Latinos are the number one growing purchasing power, and that's investments like this 10-car garage. We use something called a cap rate to calculate what the returns look like. So without going into too much detail, we calculate a lot of that for you. The possibility of tenancy, um, market rate, what we see in equity building. So we do a lot of that analysis as well. But that's something that our team does because of we too are investors. And it looks like we have one last question here. The rent receipt, is it important to get the loan? If I understand correctly, I believe you're looking for using rental income as something to prove that it's an income. So let's say maybe you have a house, you're renting it out, and you want to buy another house. Well, yes, absolutely. Having paper trail, having trail of that money received is important. Now, if you mean that you're renting and you're getting the receipts for the rent that you paid, then yes, it's important, but it's not necessary.
It depends
So
on the program too.
And the thing is that years before, we used to use the receipts as a proof of, for example, there is a lot of people who do not have enough credit lines to purchase a home or to get a loan. We need at least three credit lines, right? So for a lot of people who does not have the three, sometimes we use like the insurance payments, electricity payments, phone payments, and the rent payment. It is one of the a side credit line. But before, we used to have the receipts only be enough, not anymore. I always suggest that people, please pay with money orders and get, the money orders slip. Pay with checks, okay, with personal checks. Pay with automatic payment that it is coming out of your accounts, because now receipts, they do not count anymore. So we have to trade where that money is coming out from. So it has to be out of your account, or you have to have money orders. That means that you are paying. So do not pay with cash anymore, okay? Use money orders,
Cash.
certified checks, or something that is coming out of your bank accounts.
And I want to add to that we one of our preferred lenders is launching a new program which is available now that allows ITIN or tax ID applicants to just put down as little as 10% for single family or multifamily. But one of the requirements is proof that you have been paying rent for a year, and this could be proof that you have been paying rent for a year. So if you have a tax ID and you don't wanna pay a lot in your down payment, just as little as 10%, you need to show them a proof of that you have been paying rent for the last year. And this is just a brand new program that I just found out about
Is
like
this
last week.
Josh's program?
No, this is Prisma.
Prisma.
They just came with this. That's a competition.
Yeah, this
They
is
just
how it
came with
works.
this.
This is why it's so important to have an agent that's so heavily involved in the community and has multiple resources. Because where one company puts out a new program like this, others are offer different kinds of products.
And which is good, because before you needed 30% down if you wanted to buy a multifamily, which here in this area of the country is when you have like 3 apartments or 2 apartments in the same property, right? That helps you pay for the mortgage. As an immigrant and paying 30%, that's a lot. If you reduce
Mhm.
that to 10%, that's like a lot of money. But you
Yeah,
need
just
to
to
prove
answer
that you
this
have a pay.
question,
Yeah.
that's a great point. And just to answer that final question here about a good credit score, talk to the realtor today. I mean, why wait?
Right now.
Talk to the realtor tomorrow. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Reach out to us if you have any
You
questions. We
can
can help
call
you
Don't
us.
for
wait.
sure. Yeah, and I would say, yeah, the FHA program, if you can take advantage of it, it's the program that's going to help you put as little as 3.5% down. It's the best program that you can have for house hacking in terms of money less out of your pocket. So maybe you find something that needs some repairs. You keep that money in your pocket to do those repairs so you get some equity. But if your idea is cash flow, then putting more money down could be better. One quick thing, because again, like it's so many things. There's this thing called private mortgage insurance, PMI. If you put
Mm.
less than 20%, it's an extra charge that you have to pay the loan. So paying 20% down might be worth it if you have it. And like I said in the presentation, that's what your dreams, your hopes, your goals. Those are what you explain to your agent and your lender, so we can understand what's best for you.
But you don't need that 20% down to get into a
No.
house. Okay. If it's going to be your first home, get advantage of all the programs that there is around. Get advantage. You do not wait to get that 20% down. Okay. Um, get it. Get it right
And
away.
sometimes we can even do seller credits. It's more rare in this market, but there are also ways that we can get money credits back for you from the seller to help with your down payment. So there's so many avenues that we can help find what's best for you.
Well, I want to thank you all so much. I mean, you have made such a clear case of how available this is for the immigrant community to be able to invest in real estate and buy their first home. So, thank you for explaining all this and sharing your deep, deep expertise and knowledge and experience in this area. We're so grateful.
No, thank you. And you can always follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Morales Top Sellers. I'm sure we're more than happy to share our emails. We put it up and you'll be able to pull this video up again in the past. Reach out to us anytime. We have our office number there, but Santiago, of course, will be more than happy to set up any buyer consultations on the phone. And you
Yeah.
don't have to be part of the state. Like I said, we're happy to just give you our free advice and connect you with somebody who can help you locally. So thank you for having us.
We'll
Thank you for
Very much.
giving us the opportunity. I mean, it's really a pleasure. And this is, we can go on and on, by hours. There is a lot of information. Get a realtor, and inform yourself, educate yourself. And we have you, as a, I think I'm glad that you are there helping a lot of immigrant people, and educating them. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you for
kudos
Correct.
for
setting
you.
this
Yeah.
up
Kudos for you.
because you're making a
It's
difference in our.
yeah, and we really appreciate what you're doing. We think it's a huge help to educate our community because most of people are scared or people just don't know of what they could do, right? And like I said, like we said, if you need any help, even if you are, you know, in another state, you can always call us. We will explain the process to you, and then if you want to move forward with another agent that is local, like in your area, we can help you find one, someone who you can trust. So I thank you for the opportunity as well,
Thank you.
Andrea.
And thank you for all the viewers, that taking all this time. And I hope it helped a little bit, for everybody. At least if you got one thing, that's good enough.
I'm sure. I
Sí
mean,
se puede.
Sí se
yes.
puede. Claro que sí se puede, sí se puede.
Yes. Thank
Do
you
you
again
And
have
so
any
much.
questions yourself, Adina, do you have any questions about real
Oh,
estate?
I have so many after what you've said, but I know Giancarlo hasn't had dinner yet, so I don't want to keep you all too late. But I mean, I'm definitely gonna probably ask you all to come speak again at some point because this has been so helpful, and
We'd be
we have
happy
so
to.
many people that don't know where to go for help that I would love to send over to you all, and continue partnering to make sure people in this community have the support that they need. And I just want to highlight something you were, I think, referring to, Santiago, about like the fear. So much of it is educating yourself, like what you all are helping people do. It's the same thing with investing in the stock market or getting your first bank account or credit card, real estate. It's scary and intimidating, but there are people like you all out there who want to help, and you just have to believe that it can be possible for you and take action, right? There's so many people now who want to provide support. It didn't exist. I mean, Angela, when you were first starting, I'm sure you're one of the only ones doing this, right? It's still rare to find realtors who can work with people with ITINs.
Yeah. And like I said, when I started, there were not that many Spanish agents around. We started, we really were the pioneers of over here in Connecticut, as a Spanish agents, and we really saw the change, all the Spanish people coming over here to Connecticut and discovering all what they can do. So I'm really proud that, I'm helping people and I'm helping other agents. Like, I'm so happy to have like Santiago and my son, in the team, and growing pretty much.
Well, keep up the great work, and thank you again so much. Stay in touch, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you,
you
thank
very
you
Thank you
much
for
very
for
much
your
inviting
for
me.
the invitation.
Thanks everyone for listening. Take
Okay,
care.
okay, bye.
Bye.